Tennessee Titans training camp is here. One of the best parts of the training camp and preseason hype machine is figuring out which undrafted free agent or free agents end up making the 53-man roster. So Bleacher Report went through and picked one UDFA who could make the team for each NFL team. And for the Titans, they went with Naquan Jones, the defensive tackle out of Michigan State. I do understand where Bleacher Report is coming from this idea. Jones was a fairly highly touted recruit at Michigan State and plays one of the most concerning positions on the Titans roster right now. That is the interior of the defensive line, where I do believe it is a bit of a wide open battle to figure out who ends up making the roster and even ends up starting. The number one concern, and it's why Jones went undrafted, right? He wasn't that impactful. Despite the pedigree, playing at a big-time institution for the Spartans, he wasn't a great football player. 24 tackles, just 5 tackles for loss, no sacks. Yes, I know it was a COVID-shortened season, but the impact was sorely lacking at the college level. And if that's the case, unless you test off the charts, which Jones didn't really do from an athletic standpoint, well, now you see why he ended up going undrafted in this past NFL draft. But there is a need in Tennessee for some run defense help. In fact, the entire defense is in pretty desperate need of help. They were 24th in points per game allowed with over 27, 28th in total yards, 29th in passing yards because they had 0 pass rush, which again, Jones will not help very much. The run defense was better, but the pass defense was so poor, teams took the easier route, which was airing it out against Tennessee. On the bright side, they were quite efficient in taking the football away. As it relates to right now on the roster, we'll spend some time on this side here. Danico Autry, Jeffrey Simmons are really the only true roster locks, I think, for Tennessee. I want to believe in Tyir Tartler, Al Murchison being safer players as rotation guys, but that's up in the air. Trevon Coley, Woodrow Hamilton are not elite players, but they could be decent run stoppers. After all, you'll utilize 4 of the guys on the field at once in most of your packages because it's 2021 in the NFL and Nicholas King, if not dime anymore. Anthony Rush, Kyle Pecco, and then I'll throw in Naquan Jones as well. Maybe there's a roster spot for one of those guys. So I do think Jones is actually a pretty good selection by Bleacher Report because he has a path to making the roster. It's not like he's backloaded because he's a receiver and there's too much great depth already in Tennessee or whatever. I think there is a path towards the roster if, of course, Jones can impress in the preseason, which is the number one way to identify who's going to be a good UDFA or not. So what do you think? Will any UDFAs make the Titans roster this year? I'll bet at least one. Let me know what you guys think. Y for yes or N for no.